for Professor Zehra Sayers, so to have a view as well on the experimental program development in the SESAME. And as we mentioned, please write your question in the question and answer or in the wall, and everyone can fill it up, fill the answer later on, as some of you did.
Yeah.
Professor.
Okay, I will start by saying happy birthday to Herman again, because I think on the day of your birthday, we were on a Zoom meeting at SESAME Council in Ankara. So we had a chance to say happy birthday to you there. And I wish you and your family many, many happy, healthy years to come. And I would also like to say thank you to you for introducing me to SESAME, because you and Ada Yonath were two people who convinced me to become part of this endeavor, which I could not have even imagined, which has been one of the best experiences of my life, I must say. This was very valuable for me. Now, I will say a few things about the experimental program, how it started, but there are a couple of factors that I should mention, which I think were very important in making the experimental program work and the science at SESAME at the level that it is. One of them was that from the very beginning, there was a big emphasis by everybody involved in the project on the importance of the user community. So there was a big effort to build a user community right from the day almost zero. We had our first users meeting, I think, in year 2000 with the help of the Japanese Science Society. And then they just went on every year. Although there was no machine, there was no building, nothing, we still were holding these users meetings to build a users community. And this, I think, was critical. And the second factor, which was also very important, was to have a science director at SESAME right from the beginning. So to build a science program over the years, there was always a key person located at SESAME, and that with whom one could interact and have as a partner. So that was very important. And of course, the third factor, which maybe we can take some credit for, is the existence of scientific advisory and the Beamline advisory committees right from the beginning. So they were working hand in hand to try to develop a science program for SESAME. A critical turning point was the third users meeting. Please be careful, you know, pay attention. It's the third users meeting. Again, there's no building, nothing, and hardly a few people having experience in synchrotron radiation sources. At the third users meeting, we made a survey among the users to decide on which beamlines. So this way we could engage the users right from the beginning, looking at their, investigating their areas of interest and pulling them in. And I think this was critical. So we decided on this, the 7 first beamlines were decided at this meeting in 2004, which had already more than 100 participants from more than 15 countries. So there was the building of the community developing in a healthy way. And other important factors for developing the scientific program, the program at SESAME, was the workshops. Various parallel to the users meetings, we had workshops where people were potential users were trained in the fields, the areas of the first beamlines. So these are the factors, if you want, that glued together user community, SESAME, and the machine people together to build an experimental program. And I think this forms one of the bases of the success for SESAME, because as Herwig once said, we didn't want to have a white elephant sitting there with no users. Maybe we will have a machine, but if there were no users, well, what good is it? So this was the, I think, a critical factor in my mind to build the user community, to have SESAME going. And of course, various milestones have been mentioned by various people. I'm not going to go over them, but to build a new storage ring was, again, a critical factor for moving towards competitive science to be carried out at SESAME. And finally, I would like to say that the development of SESAME owes, again, like many people have mentioned, to many people. But I think one of the most important points is the future. How is SESAME going to develop? How are the young generations going to use SESAME? And how can we provide support for them? So I think these are the questions that I would like to leave you with. But I also would like to add that I think I know that we are on the good way to building, to enriching our SESAME community towards the future. So thank you.